Therefore, we grant permission to appeal both to Somani and to the Home Secretary against the grant of the interim injunction. We allow the appeals and we set aside the injunction imposed on 19 August 2025. The case management directions given by the judge can remain in force, subject to any amendment necessitated by the joinder of the Home Secretary as an intervener. We direct that submissions on costs are to be exchanged and filed by 12 noon on Monday, 1st September, along with any suggested typographical or factual corrections which come to Council's attention. We end by recording our gratitude to Council for their helpful submissions.
There we are. It has been confirmed that a temporary injunction that would have blocked asylum seekers from being housed at the Bell Hotel in Epping has been overturned at the Court of Appeal. For the latest analysis on this, we can join our Home and Security Editor, Mark White, outside the Royal Court of Justice. Mark, what does this mean for the asylum seekers in that hotel and the people of Epping?
Well, it means for now those asylum seekers are not going anywhere. They are staying put in the Bell Hotel. This will be a bitter blow for, of course, Epping Forest District Council, who were the local authority that sought that injunction to have these asylum seekers removed from the Bell Hotel. And it will be a bitter blow for the people of Epping, many of the people of Epping who have been out campaigning, protesting for not just weeks or months, but for years against the use of the Bell Hotel for housing migrants. But the judges, and we heard there from Lord Justice Bean there, who on behalf of the 3 appeal court judges read out that ruling, it was a withering takedown, I think, of the ruling that was passed here just over a week ago, last Tuesday, Mr. Justice Eyre granting that injunction to Epping Forest District Council to have these asylum seekers, well, 138 of them, removed from the Bell Hotel, pending that main trial, which is due to take place on the 22nd of October, some 7 weeks from now, which will decide once and for all whether the hotel can or cannot be used for asylum seeker accommodation. But in the interim, of course, those migrants would have to be removed from the hotel. But now that ruling handed down just last Tuesday, the judge in that case, Mr. Justice Eyre, erred. Seriously flawed was the description of Mr. Lord Justice Bean to Mr. Justice Eyre in some of his reasoning when he came up with that particular ruling granting the injunction to Epping Forest District Council. He went, of course, in his quite expansive judgment, setting out the background to this case. He highlighted how the hotel itself had been in use on 3 separate occasions to house asylum seekers from 2020 up until now, and at a number of occasions it had fallen out of use again with the asylum seekers, but at one point in 2023, having been approached by a planning officer, Somani Hotels did put forward a planning application for a change of use, because it had been the council's contention that as it was no longer a hotel housing anybody that wants to book in there and being an amenity for the local community, and instead had simply become an asylum hostel, they should apply for a change of use. Somani Hotels did in 2023 apply for a change of use. They heard nothing, the appeal court said, for more than a year. until in 2024, March of 2024. That application was then withdrawn by Somani Hotels because at that point it was no longer going to be used as an asylum-seeking hotel again. All that changed, of course, in April of this year when the current government decided to put migrants back in this hotel. And at that point, Somani Hotels were warned that they would need to seek planning permission for a change of use once again. However, the hotel on this occasion sought the advice of the Home Office and then did not put an application in, and that's where we got to, of course, now with the Epping Forest District Council taking this injunction out at the High Court. But again, in their ruling, the Court of Appeal judges said at no point did the local authority tell Somani Hotels that they were in breach of planning regulations, having not submitted that change of use planning application. Instead, the first Somani knew about the action being taken against them was when they were served with the papers. So that was another point of criticism for Epping Forest District Council, that the appeal court judges feel that Mr Justice Eyre last Tuesday in his ruling didn't give due weight and prominence to in his ruling. So it's a complicated ruling, these things always are, but it has wide-reaching implications for the Home Office, for the housing of asylum seekers in hotels right around the country, because we know this government is committed to, or they say they're committed to getting rid of asylum seeker hotels by the end of this Parliament. Thus far, they have made very little, if any, inroads into actually doing that, into ending the use of asylum seeker hotels. But for the moment, at least, they will continue to be able to do that. And what that's going to mean is that in Epping, certainly, and in other locations around the country, these protests against their use by asylum seekers will continue.
Thank you very much, Mark White. You're joining our Good Afternoon Britain on GB News as we learn live the government wins the appeal against Bell Hotel closure for asylum seekers, which means the asylum seekers can stay in that hotel until the next hearing, which is in the autumn. OK, let's go live to Epping for reaction, where we are joined by Jack Carson. What's the reaction there, Jack?
Yeah, thank you very much, Bo. Yeah, well, there are a few members of the public already gathering, seemingly a bit of a confrontation from one of the locals to the police that are here. And as you can see, seemingly media and other people alike gathering around that man who seemingly is confronting a couple of police officers. There is a police presence here in the expectation that there might well be protests off the back of the decision that's been made this afternoon by the Court of Appeal. There is evidence around here of those past protests of St George's flags on the signs, the actual Bell Hotel sign since taken down and also covered up on part of the building as well. The incentivisation of protests was something that was mentioned in the Court of Appeal's decision there, a reference to counter-protests outside the building, and while they say they accept the judge was right to exercise considerable caution, including unlawful protest outside the hotel, the Court of Appeal saying he nonetheless gave weight that protests were occurring and weighed them in the balance, and that they say that this was a worrying part of the protest and a worrying part of the judgment. They also said in the application that was put forward by the likes of Somani Hotels and also on behalf of the Home Secretary, and they ruled that that this runs. There was a feeling that the decision here would run the risk of acting as impetus for other protests, that there was a risk of encouraging further lawlessness. That the judge did not appear, they say, to consider this risk. They mentioned, as of course Mark White mentioned just not short ago, around the decisions of the fact that the applications had not been put forward in the other times that this hotel had been used, and this police presence here very much awaiting what might well happen on the back of this appeal decision, on the back of the Home Secretary winning this appeal put forward. There was a reference to the fear of Epping residents and the fear of crime. They say that that was properly taken into account because it was described by the judge in the initial ruling as having limited weight. They stood by that decision, but already in what seemingly is a local member of the public confronting some of the police here, already tensions high outside the hotel.